the Sherrone Moore of it all. And so why don't we get to that? Okay. So yesterday, for those of you who watched, we did do a members only show where I got a lot off my chest. So today I'm approaching this from more of an even keeled angle than last night.
I kind of want you to bring that same energy, John. We're on a roll today, bro.
All right.
On a roll today.
Well, listen, Michigan has self-imposed the do nothing, feckless, ineffective athletic director Ward Manuel, and Michigan's athletic department has self-imposed a 2-game suspension for head coach Sherrone Moore, which is currently slated for games 3 and 4, Central Michigan and Nebraska. However, as I said last night, I had a back and forth with Chris Ballas where I asked him straight up yesterday, I asked him, is this what you're writing is essentially implying that this might be it? That this 2-game suspension might be it. His response was, there may be more. And it may be a situation where the NCAA wanted 6-game suspension, Michigan comes in at 2, and then they meet in the middle, or they meet somewhere in the middle at 3 or 4.
Yep.
They also want to do the first 2 games instead of 3 and 4. So this is not done yet. This is essentially Michigan's opening salvo. But my entire point yesterday, TJ, was why the hell are we negotiating from this position instead of, I think, the position of strength in any, and I've been in business for 11 years. You don't start off with, hey, we messed up, we deleted text, here's 2-game suspension. No, you fax over the middle finger and you say, we'll see you in court. And that's where you start your negotiation. And then the other side says 6 games. And then maybe you get to 2. Maybe. Or maybe it just gets dropped and there's a fine.
Right. Yeah. So there's a few ways to look at this, the one way to look at it, to John's point, and here's what's crazy about the Sherrone Moore involvement. So Sherrone Moore deletes text messages, right? Then they get recovered and they find nothing. Was it 82 text messages or something like that, or 63 or something, anywhere from 60 to 80 text messages, whatever. They find nothing in them relating to sign gate or anything that is, proving guilt or anything, nothing. And yet Michigan's still going to punish Sherrone instead of fighting, as they said. Do we remember when, I think it was either the end of January, early February, where Ward Manuel says we're going to fight the NCAA if we find what they bring to us to be unreasonable, something along those lines. But then there's the other counter perspective here, where it's okay, well, if we take a proactive approach and we show that, okay, we've self-punished, although as I'm saying this, I'm thinking to myself, for what? Deleted text messages that said nothing? Fuck. Yeah, I mean, they have no proof. The NCAA has no proof. They don't.
Yeah.
And the text messages had no substance in them, even though they were deleted, but they were recovered. And it's just, I don't know. It's, as a fan, I'm a bit frustrated because it's well, why don't we just fight these motherfuckers? And then I know there's probably Buckeyes. It's because you're guilty. Guess what? There's just no fucking evidence. There isn't any actual factual evidence, because the, as we've talked about many times, John, the individuals who have snitched, right? And we can name their names, but we won't. We've said it enough. Their names are out there. They don't have credibility. And if you put them in court, then you would argue that their credibility would make them not a reliable witness. And that would be Michigan's position.
Yeah, it's called discrediting the witness, and it's very common in any defense known to man.
Okay. So correction, it was 52 text messages. So forgive me, I don't know the exact number, but regardless, 52. By the way, not a lot. Would they talk just like one time about fantasy football? I don't know. But like, point being is, yeah, that's a bit frustrating. Now the counter position is, well, guess what? What Michigan's going to do here is they're going to self-impose. Now we all know what's up. Games 3 and 4, who gives a shit? Like, quite honestly, Michigan should be just fine. I know the Nebraska game, shout out to Minnie. Nebraska game's on the road, a little bit more challenging, but obviously you can't say, well, games 1 and 3, just not 2, because we play against Oklahoma, right? So they're going to say 3 and 4 to make it look consecutive. I feel Michigan should be okay in the Nebraska game, but obviously it's on the road. Nothing's guaranteed, especially in college football. But that's the approach. Michigan would much rather have Sherrone Moore on the sideline for that Oklahoma game. And I think they would much rather have Sherrone Moore on the sideline for that very first game to set the tone, get the season going, and then let Bill Poggi, who we would suspect is the head coach, the intern head coach, we would expect that to be the case. So, at the end of the day, it is a little frustrating, but the one thing is too, apparently this will be resolved before the end of summer, which by the way, we told you that, like, I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago, but that's now become a common data point that there is an expectation that is more public now that it should be resolved by August. So that's good. But I don't know, John. It is a little interesting to me that we are suspending a coach for deleted text messages. So I guess you would argue, well, he affected the crime scene, even though there was nothing of evidence. That'd maybe be the argument, right?
So here's a little visual aid. Okay, so I'm gonna delete this Verizon welcome to Canada message. Okay, so I'm just swiping and then I hit boop, and then it's literally that easy. It took me a second to do that. Sometimes I like to organize my text messages. I don't like to have these random whatevers out there. And so Isaiah Hole laid it out very clearly. Like, was this not a good thing to do? Yes. Like, by the letter of everything, like, he should have. It's not a great look to delete messages, but he saw Connor Stallions. He had heard that Connor Stallions was in the news. Let's get, but I don't want to see that anymore. Like, I just don't want to see it on my phone anymore. And I really do think that because they were able to recover them like that, it wasn't even I don't know if, like, yes, did he mess up? Was it human error? I'm going to call it human error. Like, it happened. I don't even know if it was, but to suspend for 2 games, just preemptively like that without even trying to say, hey, let's put up a fight. I don't.
And then the worst part about it is the NCAA might come at Sherrone Moore as like, oh, he's a second-time offender. Now I did hear from my guy. I won't name his name, but if I believe he's here, so he'll know. Word is that Michigan put this out there, and if they try to go further, then they're going to fight. But you know what? We've heard it, so I got to see it.
I've heard that. I've heard
that
song.
We've heard it, so we got to see. I know. I got to see it, right? I know. I hear you. We'll see. I think. Here's the. All right, can I give the good news though? Here's the good news. There's going to be no vacated wins. There's going to be no vacated title, no vacated Big Ten championships, nothing that matters to that extent. The only thing here's what, and I've said this for the longest time. There's going to be a very large fine, guys, a very large fine. 9 in the 8
figures,
teens into the teens of millions of dollars. Okay. It's going to be a large fine, and Michigan's going to have to pay that. And then there's probably going to be some recruiting restrictions, in which we're going to talk about recruiting restrictions we're already going through right now in the next segment. And then, this entire show is really controversy. It's nothing but controversy surrounding Michigan right now. But, and then I think you're going to, like, we already saw what they did to, they handled the Clinkscale situation. They handled the Jesse Minter. We've already seen how they've handed those out. There's only a few more things at play. The Jim Harbaugh one we haven't quite seen yet, John. Has Jim Harbaugh's punishment has not been laid out yet, right?
No. So as well, there was that show cause. There was that Burgergate like back.
Yeah,
but there hasn't been anything. There hasn't been anything for Stallions. And my original thought was that was they were gonna focus most of their punishment on NFL coaches, so that they looked like they were doing something, but then they didn't actually really accomplish anything of actual substance, because Harbaugh's living it up in LA, Clinkscale's living it up, Minner's living it up. Like, they're not coming back to college within the next 2 years. And so, and Harbaugh is probably never coming back to college. So if they want to give him like double secret probation forever, or like banning him from college football forever, they could like, it wouldn't impact the actual day-to-day of anyone.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very interested to see the punishment for Connor Stallions and the punishment for Jim Harbaugh, and then obviously let's see if they go any further with Sherrone Moore. But here's the good news, and this is what a lot of Buckeyes, I'm not going to group them all, but some Buckeyes, they can't comprehend. You're not getting a fucking hammer. That's not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is some suspensions, some fines, some recruiting violations. And that's going to be there's not going to be a bowl ban. There's not going to be vacated, whatever. Like, that's not happening. It's not. So, and clip my take right here and call me. If I'm wrong, I'll fucking own it, but I'm quite confident in my position on this.
Yeah. Roll the tape back. We put all of our takes on film, so anybody can rewind, and we're not always right, but we're right a lot more of the time than many other shows. I will say that.
High hit rate. So
let's